Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode 104. Today's title is Dancing in the Rain. We talk about nurturing a great attitude in your child. One of the greatest ways to do that is by being an amazing example yourself. When it's a rainy day, I have a number of friends who whine and cry and complain. I live in southern Mississippi. It rains a lot. It isn't quite as bad as Florida. It doesn't rain every single day, but it rains a ton. I actually meant to look it up and tell you, but I don't think it's important. The key is if you live in an area that has a lot of rain, or frankly, if you live in the north and you have a good bit of snow, that's just part of life. That's what happens to you, okay? You have a number of options. One, you can whine and cry and complain. Oh, I can't believe it. It's raining today. Hello, rain happens all the time. Oh, I can't believe I have to drive to work in the snow and I just got my car detailed and like, come on, get over it. Grow up. Quit being a whiner because you're teaching your kid to be a whiner, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so you say, well, it's raining today. That's really awesome. My garden needed to be watered anyway, and I don't have to turn on the hose. God's going to water it. That's amazing. I have a great umbrella. It's not that big of a deal. In fact, all those people that really don't need to go out and shop and run around, they're probably going to stay home. So I'm even going to have less traffic to deal with today. That's about you and your attitude, and it's influencing your children and nurturing a better attitude in their lives. If you have to go outdoors in the rain anyways, do you know what I say? Give it 5 extra minutes, go outdoors barefoot, take your kids outdoors barefoot, and splash around in the mud puddles. How long has it been since you splashed around in a mud puddle? I have to say to you, it's a blast. Even in my 60s, I still go splash in mud puddles. It really is very fun. I've seen people literally who had a little kid taking them somewhere in their, on their way to school or whatever, and they got their little rain slicker on and they got their little boots on, and the kids like sloshing in the mud, sloshing in the puddles. And Mom's like, come on, I told you we were going to be late. And I'm thinking in my mind the whole time, and I admit, occasionally I open my mouth and say something. Just let the kids splash in the rain a minute. Do you remember how fun that was when you were a kid? Let them do it. It's not going to hurt a single thing. They got their boots on. We're set, right? If the parents not going to freak out on me, I'll even take a hold of the kids and splash in the rain. So I'm going to have wet shoes today. What is the big deal? Do you understand my point? So I love Gene Kelly. I really appreciate the movie Singing in the Rain, but I think I like it even better that he was dancing in the rain. Do you know, have you ever gone outdoors in a rainstorm, out into the yard, barefooted, I do mean as a grown up, and just danced around in the rain? Because if you haven't, you're overdue. I've literally gone outside and danced in the rain. I can honestly say to you, my former husband would not do it, but I did have a boyfriend once that was willing to dance in the rain with me, and we went out into the yard and we waltzed in the rain. We didn't need music, we just did it. Then my next question is, when it rains, have you ever done this? Just stick your face up in there, let the rain really wash your face, stick out your tongue, catch a bunch of raindrops. I mean, come on. Life is a short journey. Why don't you live a little bit? I didn't say go out in the middle of a raging thunderstorm and get your behind slashed by lightning. I didn't say that to you. But I'm talking a rainstorm. Go outdoors. When we were living in the Philippines, my sons and I, when I was there doing relief work, the kids would go outdoors in rainstorms in their underwear with a bar of soap. Now, granted, these are poor kids, but I don't care. And they would scrub up their whole bodies and they would just revel in the rain. They love the rain. Our problem is we're so busy being grumpy and overly busy and whining about stuff, we never hardly ever get to enjoy things. I want you to. Even things that might look less than perfect or it's not your ideal event or day. Have a great attitude. Relish it. Learn to see the good in it. That's my point. If your kid is an Eeyore, yeah, if I gotta, they can have that personality themselves. I confess it. There are a few kids I've met that really are. But you know what? In general, you fostered that attitude. You gave them that attitude. I'm going to hold you accountable and responsible as a parent. So you know what? You want your kid to have a can-do, great attitude? Then please nurture that in him or her. That means go dancing in the rain. That means when life really goes wild and crazy, it's an adventure. You know, I had a couple of guests with me a couple of weeks ago, and my car broke down in New Orleans. We could have had a terrible day. Really, I'm not joking about that. This was all not a great event. But we didn't. Why would we? We took care of it. We drove 3 different places. We got a part. We drove a couple different other places. We got a guy to put the part on. He didn't even know what he was doing. I called my friend who's a mechanic. I said, Thad, please help this guy. In 10 minutes, we had our part on, and it was all okay. In fact, they got to eat at a place called Soul Sisters in East New Orleans. We would have never even found that place. And so, you know what? It's up to you how it's going to go. You can be cranky, you can be nasty, you can cuss your head off, you can spit and sputter, you can say how things ruined your plans, or you can go with it, you can take care of it, deal with it, actually have a little bit of fun. That's entirely up to you. If you want your child to cope well with things when they go wrong, if you want them to have a sense of adventure, if you want them to have a great attitude, then nurture that in them. That's your job. Do it by example and do it with opportunity. All right, so you go to the beach, right? Everybody's been looking forward to this trip to the beach for a year. And 4 out of the 6 days that you're there, it rains. Well, guess what? You play crazy games together. You know, I really do love playing hide and seek even now. So play hide and seek in the house. Let the kids hide all over, especially if you're in a condo or a beach house that you've never been in before. This is going to be so totally fun, all right? Or one of my favorites, as you already know, is build a tent over the table. Pull a sheet off the bed. Put it over the table. It's better when you're not in your own house not to do it this way. So you might get an electric candle, just saying, or a flashlight. But you can use little bitty tea light candles, or some of my favorites are those LED tea lights. Put a bunch of them under there, or try to bring with you a set of, you know, sparkly decorative lights. I probably have 8 or 10 of them at least for different seasons that I got at Dollar Tree. And you just put a couple AA batteries in there and plug them in, and you got all this ambiance. Anyway, have an under the table meal, or play games under the table, sit under there and play cards, lay under there and read a book. There are just so many fun things to do. Make a big tent somewhere in one of the rooms. Again, you take a piece of clothesline, you hang it up from end to end, you put a king size sheet over there, make an indoor tent. I mean, if you can't go out, instead of whining and crying, then have a party inside. Bake cookies together. Make all kinds of fun finger foods. Make pimento cheese sandwiches and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and tuna salad and egg salad, and lay all this out and have a big buffet and make a party of it. Okay, so it rained. All right, what are we going to do instead? Play a killer game of Monopoly that lasts all day that you don't usually have time for, or Risk. What I'm saying to you is, it's up to you. You can whine and cry about the rain. I spent all this money to bring you to the beach and now we can't. Okay, yeah, great, you can do that. Or, okay, we can't go to the beach today, but guess what? We're going to have a blast. And make sure that you do. That's entirely up to you. So the lights go out. You don't have electricity. I've been through a few hurricanes. Last fall I went through one. 3 days we didn't have electricity. We had so much fun. Oh my lands. Because we lit candles and we ate food out of cans. I didn't say it was the greatest, but it's what we did and what we had to do, and we had a blast. We played crazy games. We played Truth or Dare. We played charades. We just did all this stuff because you couldn't even see the Monopoly game by candlelight. I promise you, it wasn't enough light. And there were like 9 of us. We just had such a great time. It's up to you. What kind of time are you going to have? And what are you going to teach your child? So you can teach your child when things don't go as planned, or you have challenges, or you face difficulties. They can have a great attitude, and they can even make a fun adventure out of it, or they can indeed be Eeyore, or worse, they can be the biggest whiner on earth. You get to do that, Mom. You get to do that, Dad. What are you nurturing and fostering in your child's attitude? And what are you demonstrating to them by your example? So let me tell you this. I learned this somewhere in my early 40s, and I still live by it. Something really goes wrong, like, ay, 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 you know, the pipes break and there's water flying all over the place, and I don't actually know where the turnoff valve is, and so it's just, and right then, in my mind, I say, this is going to make a great story to tell my grandkids. And it puts everything into perspective for me. It really helps me get a hold of my attitude. Whatever it is that's going to help you get a hold of your attitude, that's entirely up to you. So learn how to dance in the rain. So let me describe something that happened to you. When my second grandson was born, my first grandson had been at the house of a couple of friends, and my son said, "Mom, please go pick up Benjamin. I need you to stop at the house and grab something, and then bring him to the hospital so he can meet Simon." I said, "All right." I go get Ben. I go to David's house. I go in the door. Of course, I have the keys. And he said, "This is the code. They have a security system." I put it in, and I walk in the living room. And all of a sudden, woo, 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 here goes the security system. All the neighbors are coming out and looking. Oh, it's Miss Violet. They're not worried, you know. About 2 minutes later, 2 cops come in the door. I mean, busting in the door with their weapons pulled. I said, "This is my son's house. If you look at my driver's license, you'll see this home belongs to David Newby. My name is Violet Newby. I'm his mama. Ma'am, don't move, blah, blah, blah." I said, "He sent me here, but he gave me the wrong code. So if you pick up my phone, you'll see all these texts." And David kept sending me this code, but it wasn't the code. So the cops didn't believe me. I can't even imagine why. I mean, I'm this kind of older lady, and they don't really think I'm telling the truth. So finally I said, "Benjamin, you want to do me a favor?" He goes, "Sure." I said, "Tell those guys about Granny's fried chicken." So he does. He just starts going on and on. And he's like grabbing on me. He goes, "Yes, my granny, she makes the greatest fried chicken in the world. Oh, and she really makes good German chocolate cake." He's just going on and on. And so finally the cops put their weapons in their holsters, and they're like, "Man, we really need to do something because this thing's like making you deaf, right?" And they called David, and David had changed the code, and then all the thrill of excitement of having a baby, he forgot the new code. Finally, the cop got a brain, caught, an idea, and he went downstairs and he turned off the breaker. Thank God all that racket stopped. So this is one of the great stories of our life. I mean, you imagine how stressed I could get about cops holding the gun on me and every other thing that happened. That's not what happened at all, because I kept it all in perspective. And really, Simon loves this story. It's one of the great stories of his life about what happened on the day that he was born. See what I mean? You know how that could have gone? "Yeah, my son's so stupid. He changed the thing and he didn't remember it. And he gets me caught by the cops." And it's all about where's your head. It isn't always about what happens. It's about what are you thinking while it happens? How are you responding how it happens? What's going on with you? Where's your attitude? All of us understand that, but not all of us are good at living it out. When I was young, I was lousy at living it out. Everyone showed me how to have a bad attitude and how to be grumpy and how to cuss and break things, and I knew how. It took me some time to learn to be better. Don't be discouraged if you're not great at this. Don't be upset if you've never gone dancing in the rain. If you aren't any good when things go wrong, that's okay. I know what that's like, but you can change that. And you can absolutely nurture a much better spirit in your kids. And so, my challenge question for you today is, how am I at dancing in the rain? Really, I mean it. If you've never danced in the rain, if you've never gone outside and built a snow fort and played in the snow, or gone sledding on an emergency snow day that you weren't expecting, taken a walk in the woods when there's such a bad ice storm that you can't even drive your car, so you go look at all the beauty of the trees covered over in ice. If you've never made a tent on a day when the electricity went out with a flashlight and eaten peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and told crazy stories to each other, then start today. Begin dancing in the rain with your kids and teaching them the value and the fun of learning to dance in the rain. Thank you so much for being with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you liked today's video, please leave me a thumbs up, send me a comment or a question, and I really hope that you have a blast with your kids today. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.